All right, we're going to go ahead and call the public safety meeting to order, and we have all members are present except for Councilman Swirsky. He's not here. He's absent, okay. So we did have a meeting last week. Can I get approval of those minutes, please? All in favor? Anybody opposed? All right, we have two new pieces in front of us today. First one, amending ordinance number 446-2018, authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Westnet, Inc. for the purchase of fire station alerting hardware, software, and services for the use of all Akron fire stations, to authorize the expenditure of additional funds to declare an emergency. We have Deputy Mayor of Public Safety Charlie Brown with us.
Yes, good afternoon. Just wanted to introduce to my left is Deputy Chief Charles Twigg. This request is to repair the error. We forgot to put the prevailing wage in there. So the information you received on the ordinance number 446-218 is the same, and we just need to make sure we include the prevailing wage, and certainly would be available to answer any questions that you may have.
All right.
That's $43,984.
Okay, right there on the back. Yep. All right, thanks. Any questions? Council members, committee members? Councilwoman Sims, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So all we're doing is just adding that piece?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other questions, comments? All right, with that, what's your pleasure?
Suspension of the rules, please.
Suspension of the rules. All right. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, we'll suspend the rules on that piece.
Thank you.
Next piece is a resolution opposing and objecting to the application of Family Dollar Stores of Ohio, Inc., doing business as Family Dollar, 5303 970 Copley Road, Akron, Ohio, 44320, for a Class 1, Class 2 liquor permit, 263-127-53005, now pending before the Division of Liquor Control and declaring an emergency. We have Craig Morgan with the prosecutor's office with us.
Thank you. Yes, good afternoon, members of the committee. Councilman Neal had reached out to our office. He'd requested a objection to the permit issued here. The C1 and the C2 are for the carry-out only of beer and wine, respectively. Mr. Neal, I think, has some issues with the interior and exterior and how the business is being operated, concerned about the addition of a liquor permit for carry-out. So, of course, this resolution merely triggers an administrative hearing here locally with the Division of Liquor Control.
All right, thank you. My paper says Neal's not on this. Can you make sure his name's on it? I'm sure he wants to be added to it, or it's his resolution, so. But I'll start with Councilman Neal. Councilman Neal, please add.
First, thank you. Family Dollar has not been a good neighbor to the residents of Ward 4. They don't maintain their property. Trash is constantly an issue. They don't do the landscaping. Just had an issue that Mr. Antonucci has been working on for, I don't know if it's been a year, but a good 8-9 months, regarding a fence that was knocked down that belongs to them that they haven't replaced. They don't respect the community, and so I don't think they should have this extra privilege to be able to sell alcohol, which is always an issue in our communities anyways, in the community. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
No, thank you. Any council members on the Public Safety Committee want to speak or comment? Councilwoman Sims, go ahead.
So I'm not familiar, and maybe you can answer this for me. So is there a limit in terms of radius of alcohol outlets in proximity, say, in a 1 mile radius? Do we have that?
There's no per se limit. No. For instance, just as whenever a permit is requested, when an applicant files an application with the Division of Liquor Control, just as the legislative authority, just as council gets notice and an opportunity to object, certain other bodies also get that same notice. but, for instance, a school, a library, a park, if they're within 500 feet. Now, there's no preclusion. Simply because a school may exist 500 feet within the proposed permit application premise doesn't mean the Division of Liquor Control is going to reject the permit. So there's no, I guess, mandate that a certain type of premise can't be within the location of the permit application premise.
Yeah, I'm just, that area looks to be kind of really saturated. I mean, you walk out the front door of Bookto High School, and to your left, your right, straight ahead, there's some establishment that dispenses alcohol. And so, that's always disconcerting when that's the main thing happening on a main road. So,
sure.
Yeah.
The quotas, there is a quota so there is a finite number of permits. For instance, C1 is beer carryout. There is a finite number, but it's not apportioned by ward. It's for the whole city, and of course, that's adjusted every 10 years based on the census.
So who adjusts it? Can we lobby for equitable distribution of licensures so that we don't have that collection of dispensaries of alcohol, whether it's from a sandwich shop or gas station or the drugstore?
The Division of Liquor Control, the state of Ohio adjusts it, every 10 years based on population, but that's for the whole city. Now, what you're suggesting, I think the best approach is what's being done here is an objection. One of the grounds to object for the permit is that that particular area is so saturated, another permit may affect the peace, sobriety, tranquility of the neighborhood. So that's certainly a grounds for objecting.
So I'm just thinking in all fairness, so if you're a business owner and that is a desire that you have, if you come to the neighborhood, you should know in advance that they've kind of maxed out on liquor permits. So if you decide you don't want to hang your hat there, you don't hang your hat there. But right now, it just seems like it's a luck of the draw, so to speak, because we don't have that kind of thing in place. So I think it's probably something we should consider lobbying for. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Keith?
I would hope that when it comes out tonight, this is council as a whole, because I believe I have 2 establishments in my ward that are very hard to deal with because they, a lot of the things that they do as for what they sell inside to how their property looks, we really don't have a good jurisdiction over, and I think when a business is not being neighborly and is actually bringing down the neighbors, that I would hope that all of council gets behind something like this so that we can speak as one unit, and I applaud what you have done and what the councilman has done, because we have to make a statement that this is not going to happen in our neighborhood. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other questions or comments? Committee members, council members? Oh, Councilwoman, or President Somerville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question. How many actual Family Dollar stores in Akron do sell alcohol?
I couldn't tell
Do
you
we know?
how many. I could tell you certainly there are other Family Dollar stores that have C1 or C2 permits for carryout. Not all of them do. This is a new permit application, so certainly this particular store prior to this time has not had the capacity to sell carry-out liquor. Okay. So they're asking to do something new. They certainly didn't do prior to this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, President. Any other questions or comments? I put candy in my mouth, sorry. All right, I'm sure suspension of the rules, correct? So, anybody want to make that motion? Motion for suspension. We have a motion, a second. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, we'll pass that this evening. I think that's it. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Park and Rec will start in 1 minute. Just got to pull up my iPad. That's all. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Sims. Okay, thank you. I want to wait for you since you reminded me that we didn't want to start without you. Okay. All righty, thank you. I'd like to call Park and Rec meeting to order. Could I have approval of the last meeting's minutes from April 1st, 2019? Get a second? Been moved in second. All in favor? All right. Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the new legislation. We have two pieces to come before us. The first one is an ordinance authorizing the Director of Neighborhood Assistance to enter into a contract with the Akron City School District to provide meal preparation and delivery of services as a part of the city's annual summer food service program and declaring an emergency. Mr. Valley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson and members of the Parks and Recreation Committee. This legislation would provide nutritious meals to children in low-income areas when school's not in session. The summer food service program is funded by the Ohio Department of Education. Budgeted cost is $370,000. And this is the second year we're asking council for us to enter into an agreement with Akron Public Schools with their food service program. Last year it worked out very, very well. We had been working with them for years, but we finally have got them on board. Last year we had 15 Akron Public School sites, and we had 30 additional sites. And when I talk about additional sites, I'm talking about churches, community centers, AMHA, housing sites, outdoor parks, and things like that. And we serviced last year, trying to find that figure there, 79,268 breakfast and lunch meals combined. So we're looking to do the same type of numbers in 2019.
First, Mr. Valley, please extend our sincere appreciation from Park and Rec Committee and Council as a whole. That's no small task to service 79,000 in any kind of way, but especially children all over the city. So please extend our sincere appreciation.
I will do that.
And if correct me if I'm wrong, but did you guys also find a way to save money with this program as well?
Yes, there was a cost savings. 2016 and 17, we were paying $2.08 for each breakfast and $3.61 for each lunch. And last year, the APS prices were lower for both breakfast and lunch.
And I believe it was your members of your staff that helped come up with that savings?
Combination of everything.
Yeah.
Just, the closeness. I mean, Akron Public Schools is right here, and the provider for years was driving from Cleveland, so logistics are so much easier, so much more economical.
Well, again, please extend our appreciation to them as well. It brings back to mind when Ms. Martina King secured the grant for the police department for the rape kits, and then here with the food service program, Mr. Valley's staff finding savings. I think and I know they do, but it's good for us when, as council, we understand how the employees go the extra mile to find savings for the city. That's always to be commended. Any questions or comments from members of council? Ms. Samples?
Thank you. John, when you have an opportunity, when you get a final list of the locations, can you distribute that to us?
We'll probably have that late May, early June.
Okay,
Yeah, this will just pave the way to go ahead and enter into the contract with Akron Public Schools.
Okay, sounds good, thanks.
Ms. Sims?
So just out of curiosity, thank you, Mr. Chairman, in terms of the breakfast versus lunch, do you know what the percentage is?
I can get it.
Just curious.
Yes, I
And
can
so,
get that.
and the second thing is, do you know the range, like high school from elementary to middle versus high school, what those numbers are?
Okay, it's children all the way to the age of 18 years old, but we can get that breakdown for you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
I'd appreciate it.
It's 18 years of age or younger.
Yeah, so I was just kind of wondering where that, maybe that gap in resource may be.
And a big part of them are younger kids that participate in our summer day camps at all our community centers, so that's a big
So
part of it,
we get
too.
an opportunity
So, yeah.
to grab those folks too. So that's excellent, but I'd like to see those numbers. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anything else to come before, anything else, any other questions regarding this piece of legislation from any members of council? Ms. Sims?
So because the question becomes, Mr. Valley, for me, if we have this many kids accessing these programs, it's kind of like what's happening with parents. And so, we still, I'm glad we're doing it, and, I wish we could do so much more. But what's happening at the dinner hour, and how is that, so it'd be good to know what that number is, and perhaps maybe there's some way we can backfill that gap through other partnerships in the community, if that's really.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll get that info for you.
Mr. Valley, piggybacking on what Ms. Sims said, it's pretty much like when we looked at the LIFT program, which was I forget what LIFT actually stood for, but it's where we looked at people who were behind on their water bill. Matter of fact, I think we were waiting for the city to give us an update. Looked at people who were behind on their water bill and connected them with financial empowerment, literacy programs, because if they're behind on the water bill, probably they're challenged with something else. I know it's been a while that I've really been real intimate with the youth programs at our rec centers, but I know they're well ran. I know they're really first on people's list because they're a great bargain when it comes to care. But can you tell me, do we do anything with, will we partner with the county, like with either healthy diet programs, or now with the literacy program initiative with United Way and the financial push with United Way? Are we working with them, or are they working with us with our summer programs at all with any of our youth?
I'm not sure. I can get that question answered for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, what's your pleasure on this, sir?
Consent agenda is fine.
Okay. Okay, it's been motioned and second for consent. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. We have one more coming before us. You going to speak on this one, Mr. Valley? This is in regards to congratulating Jacob and Jordan Decatur for a remarkable wrestling season and for their 3 consecutive state titles while competing at Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy. Commending the wrestlers, their coach, the staff, administration, fans, and wishing Jacob and Jordan well as they embark on their new chapter at The Ohio State University and declaring an emergency.
I can gladly speak on that. Mayor Horrigan strongly supports this resolution. It's what a feat for Jacob and Jordan Decatur to win their 3rd state championships each. And the great thing is they're going to be sending their talents to the great Ohio State University